is the Vintage RPG Podcast, your source for the best in classic and contemporary RPGs. With your hosts, Hambone and Stu.
Welcome to the RPG Podcast, coming at you again from the clubhouse hidden somewhere in the swamps of New Jersey. I'm John Hambone McGuire, and with me, as always, is the founder and publisher of Unwinnable. Tonight, we got no jokes, folks, because we got a pretty cool guest. Gavriel Quiroga is here to talk about Black Rainbow Society.
Hello, thank you guys for the invitation. Very glad to be here.
Thanks for coming on. So talking about this ahead of time, you kind of said that you consider Black Rainbow Society to be a sort of sequel to Hell Knight. So I thought maybe we should start off with you telling us a little bit about Hell Knight first.
Okay, yes, that would be awesome. Yes, I consider Black Rainbow Society both a sequel, but also like a standalone setting or a spin-off from the setting. Maybe similar to what White Wolf did with Vampire or Werewolf, where it was like the same setting, but a total different atmosphere and different type of player, different type of characters. Mm-hmm. And Hell Knight, it's a very 80s Doom biker role-playing game where you interpret demonic bikers, pretty much, that get out from hell and go to the mortal realm in order to capture fugitive archdemons that have escaped hell. So you are interpreting the bad guys doing something that it's good, more or less. And Black Rainbow Society is, I'm a very big horror fan. I bet you guys also like the genre.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Well, I like a lot. Are you familiar with the rubber reality genre, horror genre? Things like Hellraiser or Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, very much so.
Madness. That sort of horror where reality seems to bend into a dream state and you're not sure if you're in a dream or it's the real thing. I wanted to experiment with that perception, with that feeling, with that atmosphere.
Well, yeah, from the visuals that I've seen, it definitely feels like you've nailed it in a way that is, I would say, concisely psychedelic, but still manageable enough that you could feel like you can navigate through it. You know, it's like hitting the zenith of what I'd imagine to be a perfect trip, because I've never done those drugs before, except mushrooms, but I don't really count that.
Okay. Yes. Yes, because, Hell Knight was interpreting a demon was such a big thing, and playing on the mortal realm was awesome. It was very fun, lots of fun. But my players wanted to experience what would it be like to be in that setting from the point of view of a mortal that suddenly got his third eye open and maybe has some psychic powers. His eyes open and he's suddenly realizing that the whole world is infected from various supernatural entities. That's more or less the premise behind it. So far, it has been awesome. The campaign has been ongoing for 7 months, so I decided to turn it into a fully fleshed setting.
Hell Knight's really cool because Hell Knight's a very light system that kind of draws from the cairn into the odd kind of vibe, right?
We are very happy with the system. It's the same system for all my books. People like James McGeorge, Aleph Null, not sure if you are familiarized with him. He wrote Black Sun Death Scroll. Well, he's for me one of my heroes in the RPG community, and he has been playing with his game group on 2 different settings with this system. So I'm very happy with it. We are very happy.
You kind of designed it, at least to my understanding. Hell Knight sort of can be bolted on to other systems, right? Yeah,
because. With all my books, I present the system as an option because I know that many players, many hardcore role players, they usually have their own system, and that's fine with me. So I like to present the system as an option. If you want to try this system, this is okay. If not, you can treat the whole book as agnostic. You do not need the system to actually experience the setting.
That being said, how does the system work in Black Rainbow Society using a mortal character who's sort of becoming aware of this occult underground?
Mm-hmm. The system features a grit mechanic that's similar to willpower. You spend it to realize things with maximum effort. All my settings have this. So you can use this to activate your powers. The game has with 12 very stereotypical powers. For example, you have a medium, you have someone that can control fire, you can have a psychic vampire, you can have a dream weaver, you can be like a scanner, like a psychic who has psychic abilities. You can have eidetic memory. So a lot of you can control machines. There are very different type of power that are very interesting. Some of them sort of break the fourth wall. For example, for the seer that can have visions and he can use his eyesight to have like X-ray vision or infravision. We are asking the player to use sunglasses, for example.
Okay.
That sort of thing. I like to do that. For example, also maybe for the medium, we have like that he's allowed to do some metagaming. His character is allowed to know everything that his player knows. So maybe he can even scoop the GM's notes, or maybe he knows everything that's on the character sheet of my fellow player.
Okay, that's awesome.
That's great. I love that kind of meta, kind of mechanical, allowing for that sort of thing to.
Yeah, it suits the setting very well because it's all like surreal and bending the reality and maybe traversing to other dimensions. Well, Limbo and Hell are very well fleshed out in Hell Knight already, so you can already have those two places. And we are adding a lot of opponents, a lot of secret cults, organizations. And the book is very heavily inspired by William Burroughs. And I like all his stuff about centipedes and insects from another reality, trying to infect our reality and infect our minds. So we have that as well.
I hate centipedes.
Yeah, I hate them too.
Me too.
And they come in so many varieties because they can maybe be like parasites, or maybe they can be huge. They can speak. It's very interesting.
What do they call God? It's so horrible in Naked Lunch with the black meat and oh God.
Yes.
Like you brought it up in this context. It's literally all I can think about right now is the.
Yeah, we apologize to the segment of our listeners who are in their car on their way to work right now and who are intimately familiar with what he's talking about.
Yes.
Oh,
it has a lot of horrifying moments, and there is a lot of body horror involved. There are many occasions where something can grow out from you, or you can start to become something else.
That's tough, man.
Yeah, that's very. So yeah, it's everybody has been having lots of fun so far. So we are very deeply attached with the setting, with this world.
I think it's interesting that, like we just talked about Naked Lunch, particularly, like I'm thinking specifically of the film, which is 1991. You mentioned the Worlds of Darkness games, which are the 90s.
Yeah.
And all of this, the idea of the occult underground, the other reality that's more real than the one we're living in, is all very much like an 90s game sort of thing.
Well, you can also take, for example, Videodrome.
Yeah. Spot on. Spot on.
And that's 80s, yes.
But Hell Knight is very much 80s. I feel like this is a much more naturally kind of 90s game.
It can work as both, because also I'm a very big fan of Cult, for example, the RPG, and there is some inspiration from Cult, of course.
Yeah.
I would also dare say, because I'm looking through the Kickstarter, I'm looking through the different images, and I think no one has made a better 80s horror movie poster than you with the cover of Hell Knight, because holy shit, that is spot on. But as I'm flipping through the Kickstarter, I would dare say Giallo and Italian horror influences as well are just jumping right off the screen at me. I'm worried.
Argento.
Yeah, very Argento. I'm kind of worried someone's going to try to cut my eyeball out.
It can happen, yes.
Yes. Did I ever tell you my theory on that, Stu? Why, like, it's like, oh, when people talk about giallo movies and Italian horror, everyone always comes back to the whole thing where it's just like, yeah, it's the eyeball thing, it's the eyeball thing. And part of me thinks to myself, I wonder if it's like the fact that like the one special effects dude out there got really good at the eye gag, and it's just like, well, now I got to do it in every movie because like this is my thing, Like,
Yes.
Now I'm thinking about opera.
oh, I know. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm a big Giallo fan, of course, also Fulci and Dario Argento. Yeah.
Is it the same artist for both games?
No. Well, it would be difficult to name all the artists because Hell Knight has about 18 artists involved in the game.
Wow.
But I did it with a graphic designer that made most of it. His name is Tommaso Spicoli. But on the case of Black Rainbow Society, I will be handling the graphic design, most of it. But again, I will be having a lot of guest artists for the work. If you see the stretch goals, we have 5 different amazingly talented artists. We have Johan Nor from Morgborg, Warcloud Trier. We have well, I don't know. It's so guys that actually kill it. I have been a fan of them for the last 2 years, so I'm very stoked about them participating in this work.
It's very cool. I really appreciate how Hell Knight like does a lot of the same. It does a lot of things that remind me of Morkborg and Johan's work, but without ever really like falling into the trap of like really emulating Johan's work. And it like Hell Knight is just such a rich visual book. I actually didn't realize that there were so many artists. Like the fact that the graphic design unifies all the art so well, like it's so good. It has that real like heavy metal zine thing from the 80s. Like it really
it fits the decade very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, like whatever band this is, I want to go see it. Like this is like the kind of shit I'd cut out of the magazine and hang on my wall when I was a kid. Like it's such a stark visual, like evocative. I just keep throwing adjectives at it. It's fucking awesome.
The poster, you mean?
Everything, like
all of it,
just head to toe, man. Like, I encourage people. Obviously, we encourage you to go to Kickstarter and back this fantastic project. But even if you just go over there and just scroll through the Kickstarter, I dare you to not back this project because there is a little niche for everybody who likes, RPGs, grew up in the 80s, 90s, likes heavy metal, likes weird psychedelic stuff, likes horror movies.
Yeah, I'm a super big fan. It's like pretty much all I see every freaking night. and I keep finding new stuff, it's like it's endless.
There's always something new to find, right?
There's always something new, yeah. Even when you go to the B movie on a budget, you find stuff that are pretty damn awesome.
I recently watched, you brought up Scanners again, which is why I'm going to babble on about this. I never watched the movie Outland with Sean Connery.
Connery.
Which is it's so good. It's like it's basically High Noon in space. But there's so many guys who get decompressioned like from their spacesuits and then their heads explode.
Yeah.
And it's like this really great horror effect in this sci-fi movie. It's so
absolutely
good.
It's a great movie. That movie can be enveloped perfectly by Mothership.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, spot on, man, spot on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Mothership. I think that's one of my favorite sci-fi RPGs.
I could tell. Like, there's something about the design of this, the way your books look, just fits in. Like I said again, without being like feeling like derivative or anything. It's just like there's like some of these games just have like a really great look, and Hell Knight just like fits right on that shelf with them, in a unique way. But like you're all really cool cousins,
Yeah, we're a big family.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I really love those guys. Yeah, for sure. I think that one different position I have, or philosophical position I have with my books, is that I'm trying to present them as a as story generators. That's why they are virtually ridden with tables. They are filled with random tables. So the idea is pretty much that because I'm an improv GM, I like to use the tables to create situations. I use them as tools for that. So I think that they fit that particular purpose pretty well. I think that people don't have that much time nowadays. So I think that many are slowly progressing towards that style of play,
Mm. Uh,
improvising a lot.
Hell Knight had a ton of tables. Is that going to be the same with Black Rainbow Society? We're going
It's going to be absolutely the same. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I want them to finish the book and having like an overflow of ideas, and not just an adventure. It's going to be like I have so many ideas that I can just run the game and with the book and just make it happen. You do not need to have any prep at all.
Well, that's the cool thing about Hell Knight is like without even actually looking at the substance of each table, just looking at like what the tables are kind of builds the world for you so quickly. Like you get like an immediate sense. Like it doesn't take much looking through the book to kind of understand the game, what like its character, its energy, and like how the world around it's set in works, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's my take is provide a random table, for example, I don't know, supernatural encounters, and then I usually provide like a monologue from a character from within that setting, so you can have an idea of how that particular character thinks, what is his perspective on that reality, and then I usually move to another table, and that's the usual flow I have with my book, with Warplan, with Neurosity, with Hell Knight. Yeah, because I do not like explanatory games. I don't like to explain things to the reader. I think that explanations are a bit boring sometimes. I rather listen to a character saying something. That's what interests me.
Can you tell us a little bit about Warpland and Neurosity?
Yeah, sure. Warplam is a dark acid fantasy. It's pretty much like He-Man on acid in Patagonia. That's how I like to present
Sold.
it.
Yeah, really. Like I'm sold.
That's the idea. So there's like a past technology from a previous civilization, and that civilization like destroyed the essence of light. So everything's very convoluted, and you can have maelstroms that mutate everything. They mutate the landscape, and they mutate every living organism. And you also have like a ever-growing black hole, which is like an abyss, and demons are coming out of them. So people can actually choose to serve those demons and become warlocks.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, but another interesting thing about it is that technology itself is forbidden because the argument is that technology was the one that destroyed the world. So everything about it is forbidden. Even writing is forbidden.
All right, cool. And the other game, Neurosity?
Neurosity is like the other side of the coin. It's a hidden city. We don't know where is it, but the city is run by a supercomputer, and you play as citizens in that city. That's a very dystopian sci-fi. I call it a tech noir, a dystopian tech noir. It's very similar to Paranoia, but much more noir, super dark, super bleak. There is no fun in it at all. It is very psychotic. It always pushes you to have a moral dilemma.
Are there centipedes in it?
No centipedes in Neurosity.
Maybe I'll start with that one.
Yeah, go with the one that's gonna make you less uncomfortable and give you nightmares.
Actually, Neurosity is the most uncomfortable. We had a few episodes of like panic attacks playing.
Oh, jeez.
Yes. Yeah, because there's like interrogatory scenes with interrogations, and there's a table for interrogations, and the interrogations are made live. You ask the questions to the player, and if the player does not answer them correctly, the character will suffer. So it gets a bit extreme.
All of your games sort of bring us a level of intensity that I find unusual
Yes, yes, they're very intense. Yeah, for sure. I like them to cause an impact, and I need them to be different. And I really enjoy trying to dilute the difference between player and character. All my games do that.
I think the way to really drive that point home is, as I was thumbing through the Kickstarter, you had a actual testimonial section from different play testers, and the very last one was, "We are very concerned, Quiroga's folks." So like, God only knows what they heard when these games are happening.
They used to be very concerned when I was much younger, but now they have accepted me as their little mongrel.
Oh, that's awesome.
How'd you get into doing this? How did you find your way into designing role-playing games?
I always wanted to be a writer. I started writing at about 14 years old, and I started playing role-playing games when I was 15 with second edition D&D, Forgotten Realms, and then I moved to Dragonlance. And since the beginnings, I always try to tweak the settings and add my cities, my characters, and my own perspective on stuff. I'm a big also Michael Moorcock fan, Stormbringer. So I always like to do my own perspective on the settings. So from a very early age, I developed my own settings. Yeah, for many years I did it. But when we had the quarantine days, when we had COVID, it was a good opportunity to publish Neurosity. Neurosity was published in Spanish with very little diffusion. I published it in English, and it was a good. It was a good Kickstarter. So I thought, okay, maybe we can do this.
So the Kickstarter is doing gangbusters already. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Now, maybe this is a jinx, but what's the next thing that you want to develop after Black Rainbow Society is out in the world?
The next thing that I will launch will be a post-apocalyptic setting mixed with superheroes' powers called Meltdown. That is going to be also a sequel to Neurosity and to Warbland. And then after that, I will launch a sci-fi space setting.
So you got it all laid out. That's great.
Yeah. I'm my worst opponent is burnout at the moment.
No, I love it. I love it.
The enemy of every artist.
Right.
Yes. I need to take it easy.
Well, very cool. I mean, I'm psyched about this. I will tell you, dear listener, during some of the quiet parts when I was not speaking, I actually backed the Kickstarter live while we were recording this
thank you very much, man.
episode. Listen, I mean it when I say I get excited about these projects. And a lot of times before people come on, I end up backing them, or I end up backing them when they go live like a few days later. So it's rare that I have the opportunity to actually speak to the creator in real time while the Kickstarter is going. Successfully funded already. Congratulations on that. I want to see all your stretch goals get unlocked. So, I was happy to be able to contribute to that. And in fact, it's going to be the last interview that we do for a little bit on Vintage RPG, because your old buddy HB is broke and he cannot buy any more Kickstarters.
Okay.
So I can't have any more creators on to be hawking their wares and getting me all hot and bothered for their great books. So this is it for a little while for the interviews, but we are so grateful that you took the time to come on today to talk about this, what I imagine is going to be a friggin' masterpiece, the Black Rainbow Society. Do you have any final thoughts on this before we go home on the episode?
No, I think that thank you very much for backing the project. I know there are a lot of cool stuff going around, so both the invitation and backing my project is awesome. I really appreciate it. You will really love it. I think that the book will deliver 3 experiences for me. For me, the first experience is like swooping over the pages that you will enjoy that for maybe even weeks. And then reading it, I promise that the lore will be amazing. You will love it. And then the experience of playing it, that will be really something else.
Well, very cool. Gavriel, where can people find you on the internet if they want to check out more of your stuff?
They can find me at my website, www.gavrielquiroga.com. And they can add me to my social media or follow my Kickstarter. Everything is there.
Very cool.
And we'll have a link to that in the show notes.
Yep, absolutely. So this is another amazing episode of the Vintage RPG podcast. Stu, where can people find you on the internet?
At the moment, they can find me at Vintage RPG on the old Instagram, but I'm trying out. I'm trying to get off of the Instagram a little bit. I'm trying
I love this.
Building a newsletter. So if you go to vintagerpg.com and join the newsletter, that's the real place to be. That's where the cool kids are hanging out now.
Very cool. The cool kids are also hanging out in our Discord. We have a killer Discord community that we'd love to be a part of. And in fact, we've got a Patreon-only room. If you join our Patreon, patreon.com/vintageRPG, we got a behind-the-scenes look at whatever Stu's working on currently, as we speak, this newsletter. We got a behind-the-scenes stuff on the cool stuff that I'm working on, and I should have maybe a little label behind the scenes brain eaters dropping in there shortly. We give you early release episodes for as little as $1 a month. They usually drop on Friday or Saturday sometime, depending on when we get done recording. This one will definitely be out on Friday. We also have tiers where you can play an RPG with me. I do a different one every month. And Stu has an ongoing West Marching campaign, which I hear is absolutely deadly. And people love it so much they keep going back even though they die a lot. So patreon.com/vintagerpg. And also don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, because your reviews really do help other listeners to find us. So for Stu Horvath, I'm John Hambone McGuire. May the dice always roll in your favor. Take care.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Every review helps other listeners to find us. The Vintage RPG Podcast is a ham-fisted production. Music by Dega West. Art by Schaefer Brown. If you like the podcast, you should also consider becoming a patron at patreon.com.